Welcome to God's Message Now Today channel, a channel dedicated to bringing you the most inspiring and uplifting messages. To help you connect with God, subscribe for more videos. Today we will be talking about the topic your shame gods won. Word hello. Have you ever felt that this life is an endless battle, where fear, anxiety, and doubt hang like a dense fog, obscuring every path? Have you ever felt small and weak before invisible burdens that no one else understands? If the answer is yes, then this video is for you. Imagine a world where the burdens in your soul are lifted, where fear dissolves like the morning mist, and where you find an extraordinary strength you never knew you had. It sounds unbelievable, doesn't it? But this is precisely what we will explore together. We will not just speak of abstract concepts. We will delve into the very depths of human pain, touch the most hidden wounds, and come face to face with the persistent fears you have kept concealed. We will not shy away from anything. Have you ever heard of grace? Perhaps you think it's a distant concept, reserved for perfect people. But I will show you what grace truly is. A shocking power, an unconditional love that can make the impossible possible. This is not a dry moral lecture, but an emotional invitation, a truth that will forever change the way you see yourself and the world. Prepare to be shocked, to be captivated by every word, and to feel the most powerful emotions as we pull back the curtain that hides the truth about immense love and grace. This is not just a video. This is a personal encounter, a place where you will be seen, understood, and invited to step into a life no longer chained by fear. Are you ready to face the truth, no matter how shocking it may be? Do you dare to allow yourself to feel a love so strong it transcends all your mistakes? If so, join us on this journey, because what you are about to hear will not just change your mind, but it will change your heart forever. Have you ever felt lost in a labyrinth of tangled thoughts, with nameless burdens pressing down on your weary shoulders? Have you ever lain awake at night, letting formless fears creep into your mind, whispering lies of loneliness and worthlessness? In that very moment, there is a gentle voice calling your name, an undeniable invitation born from a boundless love. God invites humanity to come near and listen. The invitation begins with a direct and intimate call. My beloved child, come close and listen from the depths of my heart. The intimacy of the invitation, come close, is not just about closing a physical distance. It is an invitation to spiritual intimacy, an act of opening your heart, ready to receive a message. Picture a father, a mother, sitting beside their child, their eyes filled with love and tenderness, wanting to share the most important thing, the deepest secret, with their little one. They create a space of absolute safety where all fear and doubt dissolve, leaving only trust and closeness. So too is this invitation. It is not a command, but a sincere beckoning, awakening in you a longing to belong, to be loved, and to be understood. It is like a gentle melody that soothes your chaotic soul, inviting you to find peace in the arms of the Creator. Listening from the depths of the heart. When God invites you to listen from the depths of His heart, it implies that the message He wishes to convey is not one of criticism, judgment, or reprimand for your mistakes. Instead, it is an expression of unconditional love, immense compassion, and the deepest understanding of every pain, every struggle you are enduring. It is an invitation to a deeper understanding of His true nature, a limitless, non-judgmental love, always ready to welcome you, no matter who you are or what you have done. It invites you to discover a treasury of peace and acceptance you never dared to dream of. God's unceasing presence. Even in inner darkness, God affirms His presence. In the stillness of your soul, where shadows lurk and doubt whispers, I am present. In moments of darkness and doubt, this is a shocking truth for many. We tend to think that God is only present in moments of joy and success, or when we feel worthy. But God affirms that He is especially present when you face your inner darkness, negative emotions like fear, doubt, and insecurity. Even when your mind is cluttered with incessant anxious thoughts, when uncertainty seeps into your soul, like a dense fog, God is still there. He does not leave. He does not abandon you. He does not judge your darkest thoughts. Instead, He is waiting patiently for you to recognize His presence right there in the midst of that chaos. This is a curious and powerfully emotional truth because it completely contradicts what we often believe: steadfastness and patience. His presence is described as unwavering, steadfast, and patient. This brings a profound comfort to the very core of the soul. It ensures that no matter how lost you are, no matter how much your soul trembles before the storms of life, God is there, unshaken. He is the most solid anchor you can find amidst the chaos and uncertainty of life. He is never rushed, never impatient with you. He is like a solid rock in the middle of the ocean, always steadfast, no matter how fierce the waves, waiting for you to find safety in Him. God's absolute understanding of human pain and struggle. Have you ever felt that no one truly understands what you are going through? The invisible burdens, the secret fears you dare not share with anyone? God not only knows, He understands down to every cell of your soul. God sees all chaos and burdens. I see the chaos within you, the unbearable weight of failure. God understands the moments when the weight of your failures becomes unbearable. These are not just external failures in work or relationships, but a deep sense of unworthiness and extreme self-condemnation. He sees the terrible pressure that the harsh judgments of the world and even the self-condemning words in your own heart exert, threatening to drown you in an abyss of despair. It is like an invisible noose tightening around your throat, making it impossible to breathe. God sees that, and He aches with you. Secret fear and shame. God understands the deep ache within you, the persistent fear of not being enough. This is a haunting fear, a sense that you can never meet the expectations of others, or even of yourself. You always feel lacking, imperfect. He also recognizes the secret shame that makes you want to hide, to shrink back from life and from my presence. This shame often prevents us from drawing near to God, making us think we are too sinful, too wicked to be accepted by Him. But the shocking truth is, God has seen it all, and instead of judging, He invites you to open up. He invites you to come even closer. He wants you to know that there is nothing you can hide from His loving gaze. God understands the unseen battles and invisible burdens, the burdens of the soul. I see the burdens you carry deep within your soul. This weight may feel invisible to those around you. No one sees it, no one understands it, yet it presses on your heart like a shadow that refuses to fade even in the brightest light. This shows that God is not only concerned with surface-level problems, but with the most hidden pains, the things you often conceal from the world, even from your dearest loved ones. He is the only one who sees the full weight you are carrying. The inner wars. God recognizes the silent wars being waged within you, the moments when your spirit trembles and your mind is flooded with questions of worth, purpose, and love. Have you ever asked yourself who you are, what you were born for? Whether you are worthy of love? Those questions are sometimes screams in your mind, yet on the outside, you must still appear strong. God is not just a distant observer, but one who deeply understands the inner struggles of humanity. He not only knows you are fighting, He knows exactly what you are fighting for. Wounds and loss. The wounds you hold are real, the scars etched by words spoken, opportunities missed, and dreams deferred. God understands that these painful experiences are part of the human journey. Every harsh word, every lost opportunity, every shattered dream leaves a deep mark on your soul. And feeling broken and uncertain is natural, completely normal. He does not judge or reprimand you for those feelings. He only wants you to know that He is here to heal them. God understands fear, anxiety, and doubt, lingering fear and worry. I see the shadows of fear and anxiety that have lingered over your days like a relentless storm cloud, dimming the light in your heart. Are you living in a loop of worry where each passing day is clouded by insecurity? God sees that. He recognizes the weight pressing on your spirit, the whispering doubts that question your path, your worth, even my faithfulness. These doubts are not only about yourself, but also about God's own presence and love. This is truly shocking, because it shows that God not only knows your fears, but also knows your doubts about Him. The source of anxiety. God explains that He understands these waves of turmoil, because I have fashioned your soul and breathed life into your being. This shows that His understanding is complete, stemming from His role as Creator. He doesn't just know you are anxious. He knows why you are anxious, because He is the one who made you. He knows the ache of the unknown. That stretches before you, the pause between what was and what will be, which feels like a chasm too wide to cross. The insecurity about the future, the precariousness between past and present all, are within His understanding. Other forms of anxiety, the tremor of fear that skims beneath your skin, the anxious thoughts that clutter your mind. It is that restless feeling, the tension simmering in every fiber of your being, the uncertainty that creeps in like a fog, blanketing your path, sowing doubt upon the very ground I have set your feet upon. You cannot see the road ahead clearly, and that makes you doubt even the steps you have already taken. The quiet trembling that shakes your soul under the weight of uncertainty, a feeling of helplessness, a tremor from the depths of your soul. Fear is the cunning whisper that slithers into your soul in the darkest hours, casting shadows on your path. Fear does not scream. It whispers, stealthily sowing panic. The anxious thoughts that race like relentless winds, the doubt that tightens, like chains around your confidence. Your mind is in constant motion, creating worst-case scenarios, shackling your confidence. The shadows that linger in your heart, the vines of fear that whisper incessantly, the paralyzing grip of anxiety that steals your breath, and the unsettling whispers of doubt that cloud your vision. This is a vivid image of imprisonment by fear, which takes over all your senses. God affirms that these are not figments of your own imagination, but battles in the unseen realms that I have witnessed since before you were born. This is shocking, because it shows that your battle is not just your own personal struggle, but also has a spiritual element. A war that has been waged since the dawn of time, which He has witnessed and understands. He is not just a comforter. He is a strategist who understands every front you are facing. Imagine a power that can cover every mistake, heal every wound, and transform the worst of things into radiant beauty. That is the grace of God. This is not a dry concept, but a living reality. An endless source of energy that you may have never truly discovered. Grace is a steadfast fortress woven from boundless love. Have you ever felt naked and vulnerable before the storms of life? God's grace is not just a thin layer of protection, but an unbreachable fortress, a coverage more complete and beyond imagination. My grace, like a vast ocean that stretches beyond what the eye can see, covers you more completely than you have ever dared to believe. Comparison to the ocean, the image of a vast ocean conveys the infinity and limitlessness of grace. Imagine an ocean so wide you cannot see the other shore, so deep you cannot touch the bottom. So too is God's grace. It is not a drop of water, a small stream, but a supply that never runs dry. The ocean can cover everything within it, from the largest rocks to the smallest grains of sand. This symbolizes the ability of grace to cover every aspect of your life, whether it be a big mistake or a small one, a resounding success or a bitter failure. Nothing is outside His coverage. This is a shocking truth, because we often believe there are sins too great, mistakes too disastrous for grace to reach. Beyond belief, the phrase "more completely than you have ever dared to believe" reveals a powerful emotional reality that humans tend to limit their understanding of God's grace. We often think of grace as a thin veneer, a temporary forgiveness, or only for those who are deserving. But God affirms this coverage is absolute, exceeding any expectation or limit you set for yourself. It challenges all your misconceptions about your self-worth in His love. Grace is not a flimsy veil, but a solid fortress. It is not a flimsy veil or a thin blanket, but a steadfast fortress woven from the threads of my unwavering love and mercy. A steadfast fortress. Comparing grace to a steadfast fortress emphasizes its protective and solid nature. Imagine an ancient, towering citadel, impenetrable and indestructible by any force. A fortress is a place of absolute safe refuge, symbolizing the absolute protection of grace against all threats, all attacks from the enemy of your soul. No arrow of fear, no blow of doubt can touch you when you are in this fortress, woven from love and mercy. The source of this fortress is not material, but the threads of God's unwavering love and mercy. This shows that grace is not a dry rule or law, but a concrete expression of God's loving and merciful nature. Unwavering affirms the eternal and unchanging nature of this love and mercy. No matter how the world changes, His love remains intact, unshaken. This is a deeply personalizing truth, as it speaks to the nature of an unchanging love meant specifically for you, a refuge in the storm. In your struggle, when you feel lost in the wilderness of despair, know that my grace is the refuge that no storm can penetrate. Grace is the safest and most solid place when you face the harshest trials of life, the storms of despair and chaos. When you feel you are drowning in a sea of despair, remember that there is a solid refuge waiting for you, a place that no storm can reach. This is a specific promise of safety. Grace is a gift that cannot be earned, always available to the brokenhearted. We often believe that to receive something good, we must be worthy or work to achieve it. But God's grace is completely different. Grace is not a reward for perfection. I tell you now, my grace is not earned by your goodness. It is not a reward for perfection. The nature of a gift. This defines grace as an unconditional gift. It is not based on your merits, not based on the right actions you have taken, or any effort of yours to become good enough. This frees you from the burden of perfectionism and the constant pursuit to earn God's love. This is a shocking and emotionally powerful truth because it goes completely against human nature, which always wants to do something to be worthy. For the brokenhearted, it is the gift I breathe into the very breath of the brokenhearted. This emphasizes that grace is given to the weak, the suffering, those who recognize their need for it, not to those who consider themselves strong or perfect. If you are feeling broken, desperate, then you are the one this grace is for. It is like a cool breeze blowing on a heart, burning with pain. Grace is relentless and covers all mistakes. When you think you have gone too far, when regret whispers that you are beyond saving, my grace steps forward. It does not ask questions. It does not hesitate. It simply embraces you in its arms. Proactive and unconditional. God's grace is proactive and unhesitating. It does not wait for you to be worthy enough or to fix all your mistakes. It steps forward to you. It does not ask questions or hesitate, which affirms its unconditional nature. There is no scrutiny, no criticism. Even when you feel you have made an unforgivable mistake, grace is still there. This is a shocking truth because it challenges the concepts of punishment and justice we often apply. An embrace of warmth and acceptance. The fact that grace embraces you in its arms is a powerful image of complete acceptance and tender love. It brings deep comfort and peace, regardless of your past or your feelings of guilt. Imagine a lost, frightened child who, upon finding their parents, is held tightly in a warm embrace. So too is God's grace. It is a comforting embrace, soothing all pain. Grace transforms sign into glory. Imagine sunlight piercing through a cracked window pane, illuminating the dust in the air. That light is my grace breaking through the cracks of your brokenness, transforming what was once hidden into a display of my glory. Light through the cracks. This image is very powerful and shocking, showing that grace does not just hide or ignore your brokenness, but uses those very cracks as channels for God's light to shine through. The flaws, the wounds, the mistakes you want to hide are not barriers, but opportunities for grace to reveal its transformative power. It is like pure gold refined by fire. The more it is cracked, the brighter it shines, transforming darkness into glory. Transforming what was once hidden into a display of my glory implies a radical transformation. The things you feel ashamed of, the things you want to hide from, the world become the very places where God's glory is most clearly displayed. This brings hope that every pain, every mistake, every scar can be used by God for a higher purpose, an unexpected beauty. Grace wipes the past clean, writes a new story. You may have believed that your mistakes have labeled you unworthy, but my grace wipes the ledger clean and writes a new story for you. Wiping the ledger clean. The phrase, wipes the ledger clean, symbolizes the complete erasure of all records of your sins and failures. This means that nothing from your past can be used against you in God's eyes. Every mistake, every stumble is completely forgiven, as if it never happened. This is a powerful emotional release, an unexpected relief, not writing a new story. Writes, a new story for you is a promise of a fresh start, of complete restoration, and a future full of hope. It affirms that your past does not define your destiny, but God's grace shapes a brighter future, a story full of victory and glory. Grace is an endless melody of forgiveness and faithful presence. Imagine a gentle melody that never stops, a tune of peace and forgiveness, always echoing in your soul. That is the grace of God, the melody of forgiveness. Even when your soul feels bare before me, when you find yourself trembling under the weight of sin, or when the noise of the world's judgment deafens your spirit, remember that my grace is the song beneath that noise, a melody of forgiveness. It will never cease. The sound amidst the chaos. Grace is not a static concept, but a song, a melody of forgiveness. This evokes a vibrancy, a continuous source of comfort. Even in the noise of sin, judgment from the world around you, and even the self-condemning words in your mind, the music of grace still exists, echoing, bringing peace and reassurance. It is like a gentle ballad in the middle of a loud rock concert. Endless forgiveness will never cease. Emphasizes the relentless and eternal nature of forgiveness. No matter how guilty or condemned you feel, God's grace and forgiveness are always available, never running out. This is a shocking truth for many who are still struggling with the weight of their sins. Faithful presence and extraordinary strength. It is my hand that holds yours steady when you stumble. My faithful presence that never abandons you in the midst of the battle. A steadying hand. The image of my hand that holds yours steady expresses God's continuous support and assurance. He not only helps when you fall, but He also holds you steady so that you do not stumble completely, so that you never lose your balance, never abandoning. My faithful presence that never abandons you is a powerful promise of God's eternal companionship. Even in the battle, both internal and external, He is there, never leaving you, stronger than any battle. The battles within are fierce, but I am fiercer still. This affirms that God's strength surpasses any struggle you face. I have fought for you since before your first breath, and I continue to fight in your heart today, shows God's eternal and continuous commitment to you. He is your greatest warrior, always fighting for you, even when you don't realize it. This is a powerfully emotional and deeply personalized truth. Grace is a river of restoration and life-giving strength. Imagine a river that never stops flowing, bringing freshness and life to the most arid lands. That is the grace of God, a relentless source of restorative power, the power to heal, restore, and reclaim. My grace is not complacency. It operates with power to heal, to restore, to reclaim every lost part of you. Not passive acceptance, not complacency means that grace is not just about accepting you as you are without change. Instead, it is a dynamic and powerful force, always working to bring about positive change. Transformative power. It operates with power to heal the deepest wounds in your soul, to restore what has been broken, and to reclaim every lost part of you, be it faith, hope, or even your very self. This shows that grace has the ability to bring about wholeness and complete renewal. It doesn't just patch things up. It rebuilds stronger than before. A deep love that refuses to give up. It is not a passive acceptance, but a fierce, tender love that refuses to give up on you. A fierce and tender love. The phrase, a fierce, tender love, expresses a unique combination of strength and compassion. It is a love strong enough to overcome any obstacle, yet gentle and full of mercy. This is a curious truth because it shows that God's love is not weak, but an extraordinary force. Never giving up. Refuses to give up on you is a firm promise of God's persistence and faithfulness. No matter how many times you fall, no matter how lost you may wander, God will never let you go. He will pursue you with his enduring love, a coverage beyond all understanding. Let this truth sink into you now. My grace covers you completely, fully, far beyond your comprehension or the lies that have clouded your vision. The perfection of the coverage, completely, fully, emphasizes the all-encompassing nature of grace, leaving no room for condemnation or doubt. You do not need to worry about whether there is a part of you that grace has not touched. Beyond human understanding, far beyond your comprehension, suggests that humans cannot fully grasp the greatness and depth of God's grace with their reason. It is a transcendent concept. Or the lies that have clouded your vision indicates that the lies of the enemy or of yourself have obscured this truth. And God wants to make it clear to you. Grace is the source of reviving life. I am with you. And my grace is the river that refreshes your soul even in the driest deserts of your life. A refreshing river, the river that refreshes your soul, is a vivid image of the continuous provision of grace. Just as a river brings life to arid lands, God's grace brings revival and energy to tired and barren souls, even in the desert. Even in the driest deserts of your life means that grace is present and powerful even in the most difficult, deprived periods where you feel depleted and hopeless. This is a specific promise of his presence in the times you need it most. Grace is a living reality that turns weakness into strength. My grace is not a distant concept. It is a living, breathing reality that meets you in your weakness and turns it into strength. Not an abstract concept. God affirms that grace is not just an abstract idea, but a living, breathing reality. This means it can be experienced and felt concretely in your daily life, turning weakness into strength. Meets you in your weakness and turns it into strength is a transformative promise. God's grace does not ignore your weaknesses, but uses them as a starting point to build extraordinary inner strength. This is shocking because we often hide our weaknesses, but God turns them into a source of power. Grace is an invitation to a life beyond mistakes. Grace is the invitation to rise above your mistakes, to rise again with a courage, or not of your own will, but from my steadfast love. Rising above mistakes, grace not only forgives, but also lifts you up, helping you rise above your mistakes, not letting them define you. You are no longer trapped in the past. Courage from God's love. The courage to rise again is not a self-effort, but a gift, born not of your own will, but from my steadfast love. This shows that the true source of strength and courage is God's unchanging love, covered forever. Rest in this promise. No matter where you have been or what you carry, my grace covers you. Always has, always will. This is a final affirmation of the eternal and comprehensive nature of grace, not limited by time or circumstance. This is a specific and certain promise. Have you ever felt alone in your secret pain, feeling as if no one has the patience to listen to you, or that no one can truly heal the deep wounds in your soul? God understands that. He is not just an observer, but the one who is always present with infinite patience, and who brings the promise of ultimate healing. God is always present with compassion and infinite patience. Imagine a true friend, always by your side, never leaving you no matter how many times you stumble. That is your God, not an ever-present, not a distant observer. The Lord is here, ever present, not as a distant observer, but as the gentle hand that steadies you when you stumble, the firm voice that calls you back when you stray. Direct interaction. This affirmation emphasizes God's direct involvement in your life, not as a distant or indifferent being watching you from above. He doesn't just watch. He acts, the function of support and guidance, the gentle hand that steadies, and the firm voice that calls you back are vivid images of his pastoral care. He not only helps when you fall, but also guides you back to the right path when you are lost. He doesn't abandon you midway. He is always the guide and the support. Endless patience and understanding of pain. My patience flows endlessly toward you, like a river that never runs dry. I am not hurried or frustrated by your struggles. Instead, I meet you in the quietest places of your pain where no one else dares to tread. Patience like a river. Comparing God's patience to a river that never runs dry symbolizes its endlessness and continuity. God never runs out of patience with you, no matter how many times you struggle or stumble. Even if you turn away, he patiently waits. This is a powerful and specific emotional truth, showing that his love has no limits, no judgment or frustration. I am not hurried or frustrated by your struggles, affirms God's non-judgmental and accepting nature. He is not bothered by your difficulties. On the contrary, he empathizes and understands. He does not blame you. Presence in the deepest pain. I meet you in the quietest places of your pain, where no one else dares to tread, is a profound statement of God's intimacy and compassion. He is willing to enter the most painful, lonely, and dark spaces you experience, where others might be afraid or unable to go. This is shocking because he is the perfect one, yet he is willing to step into your brokenness, crafting a masterpiece from a human life. Here, in this sacred space between your cries and your silence, I am crafting a masterpiece from your life, even if you cannot see it yet. Where suffering is a place of creation, this shows that even in moments of suffering and silence, God is still working with purpose. He wastes none of your pain. A masterpiece in the making. Crafting a masterpiece brings hope that pain and trials are not meaningless, but are part of a larger plan, a transformative process to create something beautiful and valuable from your life. Even when you can't see it, God is still working little by little to turn you into a priceless work of art. This is a curious and personalized truth because it turns pain into a part of beauty. The promise of help, healing, and restoration. Do you feel tired of carrying all the burdens by yourself? God has a promise for you. You are not alone. burdens not meant to be carried alone. You are not meant to carry this weight alone. When the pressure of shame threatens to crush your spirit, reach out with a trembling hand, an invitation to share the burden. God invites you not to carry every burden yourself. This encourages dependence on Him and surrender. You don't have to try to be strong on your own anymore. God does not condemn or punish. I do not condemn or punish. This reinforces the message of unconditional grace and non-judgmental love from God. My heart aches for your healing as much as your own. Shows God's deep empathy and intense desire for you to be freed from pain. He doesn't just pity. He hurts with you. Companionship on every step of restoration. The journey of restoration may be slow and the path may wind through valleys of doubt. Yet, I am with you every step of the way. Steadfast companionship. God promises to be with you every step of the way, no matter how difficult or long the road may be. He understands that restoration is a process, not an instant event. He will not abandon you midway. The meaning of waiting in silence. No season of silence or waiting is without purpose. I am shaping your character, refining your faith, and deepening your understanding of my everlasting covenant with you. This provides a new perspective on difficult or silent periods. They are not abandonment, but times when God is quietly working to develop you, strengthen your faith, and enhance your relationship with Him. This is a curious and powerfully emotional truth, because it turns loneliness into a sacred process. God is the unending source of life. In moments when your soul feels thirstier than desert sand, and your hope flickers like a fragile flame in the wind, remember that I am the spring from which your soul drinks the water of eternal life, the fountain of living water. The image of a spring emphasizes that God is the endless source of life, freshness, and hope. Even when you feel depleted and exhausted, God can fill you with life. Do not turn away from the source. Do not turn away from the source, even when darkness veils your sight. This is a call to persevere in seeking God, even when things seem dark and difficult. Despair is but a visitor, and your spirit is destined to rise above it into the joyful light of my restoration. This provides assurance that despair is temporary and can be overcome. The invitation to surrender and the peace that comes from God. Have you ever tried to control everything, to solve every problem yourself, only to end up exhausted? God invites you to let go. Healing begins with acknowledgement and surrender. Healing begins with acknowledgement. Acknowledge the pain, the fear, the uncertainty, and then give it to me. I will carry it for you. Let me. The crucial first step. Healing begins with acknowledgement is a fundamental principle. You cannot heal what you do not admit exists. Be brave enough to face your pain. Surrender is strength. The act of giving it to me is an act of surrender and trust. God invites you to transfer your burdens to Him, and He will carry it. Let me is a gentle reminder of His willingness and power. This is a shocking and emotionally powerful truth, because we often think of surrender as weakness, but God says it is strength. Every pain is heard and valued. Every tear you have shed, every confession whispered in the secret rooms of your heart, I hear it all. Precious to me, treasured beyond measure. Comprehensive listening. God does not ignore any of your pain or prayers, no matter how small or secret. Precious to me, treasured beyond measure, shows that God values all your emotions and expressions. None of your pain is meaningless to Him. Strength in surrender. There is great power in surrender, for it opens the door for me to pour my peace into the crevices that fear and sorrow have carved out. Surrender opens the door to peace. Surrender is not weakness, but a powerful act that opens the door for God to act. When you stop trying to control or carry it all yourself, you create space for God's peace to fill. Peace fills the voids. Pour my peace into the crevices that fear and sorrow have carved out, is an image of complete healing. God's peace fills the places once occupied by pain, bringing wholeness, never forgotten, forever etched. You are not forgotten, my beloved, for I have etched you on the palms of my hands, and the beating of my heart echoes your name in the stillness of dawn, and the quiet of midnight. Etched on the palms, this image is a powerful symbol of God's constant care and remembrance. It means you are always in His mind and His sight impossible to overlook. He knows you better than you know yourself. A heartbeat echoes your name. The beating of my heart echoes your name is an image of deep connection and unending love. It shows that God is constantly and profoundly thinking of and loving you. God never abandons you. God has promised never to leave you nor forsake you. You are not forgotten. You are seen, cherished, and held with a tenderness beyond human comprehension. These are personalized and specific truths, a powerful affirmation of your value in God's eyes. By now, you have heard about God's unconditional love, immense grace, and deep understanding. But the question is, what will you do with these truths? This is not just information for you to receive, but an invitation to act, a call for you to step into a life of peace and transformation. Resting in God's presence, are you feeling tired, exhausted from the worries of life? God invites you to find true rest in Him, letting go of worries and listening to God's voice. Pause now and come close. Shut the door on your anxieties for a moment and listen for my voice moving on the winds of grace and providence. The act of stillness, shut the door on your anxieties, is a proactive act to eliminate distractions and focus on God. Just as you close a door to find quiet, you need to close the door of your mind to worries to be able to hear His voice. Listening. Through grace and providence, God invites you to listen to Him, not just with your ears, but with your soul. Recognizing His guidance through grace and providence, God's purposeful arrangement. He doesn't just speak in words. He also reveals Himself through events, the small things in daily life. Absolute safety in God's hands. Let my presence soak into your soul like a gentle rain that nurtures the soil of your spirit. Spiritual nurturing, the image of a gentle rain that nurtures the soil of your spirit, shows that God's presence not only comforts, but also nurtures and develops you spiritually. Just as a seed needs water to germinate and grow, your soul needs God's presence to thrive. No pain escapes God's notice. Do you believe me when I say that not one moment of your suffering escapes my notice, that no sorrow is too small or too deep to receive my tender care? God affirms that He cares about every detail of your pain, whether it's the smallest or the most profound. This brings comfort that you never have to suffer alone. This is a direct, personalized question, inviting absolute trust. A secure anchor. Let this assurance settle in your heart and provide a firm anchor amidst the turbulent seas. The promise of God's care acts as an anchor, keeping your soul steady when facing the storms of life. The process of healing and transformation. Healing is not a miracle that happens overnight, but a journey. And on that journey, you need patience. Patience with yourself in the healing process. Your healing process will require patience not only from me, but from you as well. For I am teaching you how to extend the same grace to your own frailty that I eternally extend to your soul. Two-way grace. God emphasizes the importance of self-forgiveness and patience with yourself, reflecting the grace God gives. This helps you treat your own weaknesses with compassion, just as God does. You need to learn to love and accept yourself, even in your imperfect moments. Resisting lies. When bitterness whispers lies of abandonment or unworthiness, counter it with the truth that you are being held in the arms of the Creator, who loves you with a passion higher than the mountains and deeper than the oceans. This calls you to believe God's word more than negative lies, and to recognize your infinite value in the eyes of the Creator. This is a specific call for you to actively fight against negative thoughts, the transformation of suffering into beauty and wisdom. Rest in this truth, my beloved, for it is the balm your soul needs. I am weaving a story of redemption through your pain, turning your mourning into dancing, your wounds into wisdom. A balm for the soul. The truth of God's love and presence is a balm for a wounded soul. It is like a precious medicine that heals all wounds. Mourning into dancing, wounds into wisdom. This is a promise of a complete and shocking transformation. Pain is not the end point, but part of a transformative journey where sorrow is replaced by joy, and scars become sources of deep understanding and wisdom. You will realize that what you have gone through was not in vain, but part of the process of shaping you into a stronger, wiser person. Trusting God's perfect timing. Trust that my timing is perfect and my ways are crafted for your ultimate good. Though you may not yet see the full picture, I have not forgotten you. A plan for ultimate good. God ensures that everything is in His plan and directed towards what is best for you. He does nothing without reason, and everything that happens has a purpose. Never forgotten. The affirmation, I have not forgotten you, brings deep comfort, especially when you feel abandoned or lonely. Not fearing the wait or the silence. Do not fear the waiting. Do not despise the silence, for these seasons are the life-giving currents that draw you closer to the full bloom of your spiritual awakening. The necessity of waiting. God encourages you not to fear periods of waiting or silence. These are crucial times for spiritual growth, like a seed needing time in the soil to germinate before sprouting. This is a curious truth, because we often see waiting as a bad thing, shaping faith and character. I am shaping your character, refining your faith. I am the potter of your soul, molding your character and faith in the quiet spaces where your spirit feels most vulnerable and raw. This shows that waiting is not a delay, but a necessary shaping process, where God is working to make you the best version of yourself. Watering the faith. I am watering the soil of your heart, even now, though you may not feel it yet. This alludes to God's silent work of nurturing faith, even when you are unaware. Perfect. Timing like a lily. The timing of my work in you is perfect, like the blooming of a lily in its season. As the petals unfurl, they reveal a beauty that cannot be forced or rushed. This emphasizes that God has a perfect time for all growth and transformation. You cannot force a flower to bloom before its time, and you cannot force your healing process either. The invitation to step into the light and find refuge. Do you want to escape the darkness of pain and step into the light of peace? God is waiting for you, stepping boldly into God's presence. When you face the shadows within, do not shrink back from the light I offer. Step boldly into my presence, knowing that I meet you with open arms and an unshakable promise of restoration. Do not retreat. God encourages courage and not avoiding the difficult aspects of yourself. Face your fears. Open arms meet you with open arms symbolizes God's complete acceptance and unconditional love without judgment. You do not need to be perfect. Come to Him. Healing is a rebirth into new glory. Remember, my beloved, that healing is not just the restoration of what was lost, but a rebirth into a higher glory and a renewed joy. Superior restoration, healing, is not just returning to the original state, but an upgrade, a rebirth that brings higher glory and a renewed joy. This is a positive view of recovery after suffering, a powerfully emotional truth, because it turns pain into joy. God is the first and only refuge. When your spirit feels weary and your thoughts grow heavy, call on me, not as a last resort, but as your first refuge, a priority refuge. God invites you to put Him first in all difficulties, not just when everything else fails. He wants you to come to Him from the very beginning, a shelter in the storm. I am your shelter in the storm, your hiding place in the chaos, your peace that surpasses all understanding. God is the source of safety, stability, and peace in all circumstances. He is the source of strength, encouragement, and a steady light when all else fades. This is a specific promise of His protection. Entrusting a weary soul to the Creator, will you allow my presence to soothe your burdens? Just for now, offer me your weary soul and find rest in the hands that created the stars and breathed life into your very being. An invitation to entrust. God invites entrustment, allowing Him to carry your burdens. Rest in the Creator's hands. Finding rest in the hands that created the stars and breathed life into your very being emphasizes the power and love of God. As the Creator, who has the ability to comfort and renew all things, always beside you, you are not alone in your struggle. For I have promised never to leave you nor forsake you. God reminds you of the promise to never leave, shaping and loving. Embrace this moment of peace. And as you do, remember that I am shaping you, strengthening you, loving you more fiercely than ever. Even in the waiting, God is still at work. A good purpose. Trust that my purposes for you are good, even when they feel distant. Have you ever wondered who God truly is and what His relationship with you is like? This is not an abstract concept, but a living, powerful truth that can change the way you see yourself and your life. God is the patient potter of the soul. Imagine a masterful artisan patiently crafting a work of art from a rough lump of clay. That is how God works in your life, seeing the valleys of doubt. My beloved, I see the deep valleys where your soul sometimes wanders, at times obscured by the shadows of doubt and uncertainty. Awareness of pain. God recognizes the deepest places where your soul gets lost and struggles with insecurity. He not only knows they exist, He sees you struggling within them. The burden of unanswered questions. The weight of unanswered questions presses on your chest, leaving you breathless and uncertain. God understands the suffering caused by a lack of clarity, the questions without answers that swirl in your mind. God is close even in the silence. In these moments, I am closer than ever. Though the silence may feel vast, like a desert stretching endlessly under a harsh sun, your heart still cries out for understanding, a sign, an assurance, closeness in the stillness. Even when there is a sense of absence, when you feel most alone, God is there, closer than ever. This is shocking, because we often think silence is a sign of absence, teaching the art of trusting beyond sight. Yet, I am with you in the stillness, teaching you the precious art of trusting beyond sight. This shows that silence is a school, where faith is developed, where you learn to trust Him even when you don't see anything clearly. This is a curious truth about how God works. God is the potter molding the soul. Imagine a vessel being crafted by skillful, delicate, yet resilient hands, set within the gentle hands of a master potter. The potter turns the wheel, shaping and refining the clay with infinite patience. Sometimes the touch is firm. Sometimes gentle caresses guide the shape. So it is with you, my beloved. I am the potter of your soul, molding your character and faith in the quiet spaces where your spirit feels most vulnerable and raw. The potter metaphor, the image of the potter, illustrates how God works in your life. He is the master, with full authority and skill to shape. You are the clay in His hands, being meticulously formed by Him. Patient refinement, shaping and refining the clay with infinite patience, shows that the transformation process is not rushed, but a gradual process, requiring patience from both God and you. Sometimes the touch is firm. Sometimes gentle caresses shows that God uses various methods, from difficult trials to gentle comforts. all for your benefit. Shaping in weakness. God especially works in the quiet spaces where your spirit feels most vulnerable and raw. This implies that your weaknesses and pains are the most fertile ground for spiritual shaping and growth. He is not afraid to touch your deepest wounds. Every turn brings strength. Though you may not see exactly where the shaping leads, every turn of the wheel is strengthening you for your purpose. Every challenge, every moment of waiting has a purpose, which is to strengthen you so you can fulfill the purpose God has ordained. Faith flourishes in waiting, and patience waiting is often the hardest thing. But for God, waiting is an essential part of the growth process. The lesson from the seed. When doubt creeps in, consider the seed buried in the cold, dark earth. It does not question the unseen light above, nor the slow warmth it will awaken. It rests in patient surrender, drawing strength inward, preparing to burst into life at the appointed time. The trust of the seed. The seed metaphor teaches about trust and patience. Just as the seed doesn't need to see the light to believe in it, you are called to believe in what God is doing, even when you don't see it. Drawing strength inward. Drawing strength inward shows that the waiting period is a time of internal development, strengthening the roots of faith. You are building a solid foundation from within, bursting forth at the appointed time. Preparing to burst into life at the appointed time is a promise of flourishing and fruitfulness when God's timing is right. After darkness comes radiant light, faith with deep roots. So it is that your faith is nurtured in the waiting, developing deep and hidden roots that will not falter when the storms arise. Deep roots of faith. Waiting does not weaken faith. On the contrary, it helps it develop deep and hidden roots. This makes faith more resilient, able to withstand the storms of life. Do not let silence turn to despair. Do not let the silence harden into despair or bitterness. Patience is not merely the absence of action, but a sacred space where love quietly nurtures growth. Patience as a sacred space. God redefines patience not as passivity, but as a sacred space where God is quietly at work. Love nurtures growth. Love quietly nurtures growth, shows that even when there is no apparent activity, God's love is still nurturing and developing you. God is the one who makes a way in the wilderness. I am making a way in your wilderness, a path only your heart can perceive. The unseen whispers of your soul are the compass needle pointing steadily toward hope. Renewal, making a way. God promises to open a way even in places that seem impassable. The wilderness can be a symbol for difficult, unclear periods in life. Unseen whispers are the compass. The unseen whispers of your soul are the compass needle, suggests that God's guidance may not be a loud voice or a clear sign, but a gentle, internal guidance pointing towards hope and renewal. God's perfect timing is not a delay. The fear of delay often tempts you to rush, to seize control, fearing that the pause will last forever. Yet the timing of my work in you is perfect, like the blooming of a lily in its season. Avoid seizing control. God warns against trying to rush or control things out of fear of delay. Beauty cannot be forced. As the petals unfurl, they reveal a beauty that cannot be forced or rushed. This illustrates that the best things need time to develop naturally according to God's plan, God's providence. I ask you now, will you keep your hands open, empty and expectant, receiving the fullness of my timing without resistance? This is an invitation to complete surrender and trust in God's providence. Waiting is an odds investment in eternal joy. Your heart may ache with questions of why the burden persists or why the clarity you seek remains just out of reach. I see every tear, every moment of silent longing. Complete understanding. God understands every pain and longing in your heart. God's timing is an act of love. I am not distant or displeased. My timing is an act of profound love, designed to equip you with the strength and faith that endures beyond time. This emphasizes that trials and waiting are part of God's loving plan to strengthen you. Waiting is an investment, like a hidden treasure waiting to be discovered. Your time of waiting is an investment in your eternal joy. This redefines waiting as a precious opportunity to grow and achieve greater rewards in the future. This is a curious and emotionally powerful truth, turning waiting into an asset. God's presence in the waiting is peace and an anchor. Let this truth sink deep within you. I am the God who waits patiently beside you, the one who disciplines with tenderness, who never strays from your side even when the world grows cold and your spirit grows weary. The patient companion. God affirms his continuous presence. He doesn't just wait for the outcome. He waits with you, a steadfast anchor. My presence in your waiting is a balm for the restless, a firm anchor in the storm. This shows that God brings peace and stability even in the most uncertain periods. A sacred moment. Embrace this moment of patient surrender, for it is sacred. In it, you will discover depths of trust you never knew existed, and the sweet assurance that no season of silence can separate you from my love. Surrender is seen as a sacred act, leading to a deep discovery of faith and God's love. Fear, anxiety, and doubt are silent enemies that can steal your peace and joy. But you do not have to face them alone. God has a plan to help you overcome them. The nature of fear and God's promise of peace. Fear is not your destiny. It is an intruder, and God wants to set you free. Fear is a thief and a fog. Fear was never meant to reign in you. Fear is a thief that attempts to rob you of your peace, the fog that blinds you to the glory of my promises. Fear is an intruder. God affirms that fear does not belong to your nature, but is an external force seeking to destroy. You were not made to live in fear, the thief of peace. Fear is likened to a thief because it takes away inner peace and obscures God's promises. It turns the future into a hopeless land. God is the solid foundation and refuge. Yet I stand beside you, firm and unshakable, the solid ground beneath your trembling feet. A stable foundation. God is the solid ground, providing stability and security when you feel insecure, when your feet tremble. A shelter in the storm. I am not just a distant observer of your struggle. I am your refuge in the storm, the calm whisper in the midst of the chaos. God not only observes, but is also the place of shelter and the reassuring voice amidst your chaotic emotions. Breath and a gentle hand. When anxiety tries to scream louder than my truth, remember that I am the breath that fills your lungs. I am the gentle hand on your forehead, the shade that cools your weary head. These images express God's very personalized and tender care. He is as close as breath and as touching as a gentle caress. The call to see with eyes of faith. The fear that stirs within you is a symptom of seeing with human eyes. But I call you to see with eyes of faith. Changing perspective. God invites you to change your perspective on problems from the limited human viewpoint to the perspective of faith, where God can do the impossible. Dawn after the darkest night. Do you not remember the dawn that follows the darkest night? So too will your soul find its peace, as regularly, as surely, as beautifully. Though the night may feel endless, it cannot triumph over the morning I have promised. This brings hope that after every difficulty, peace and light will come. A concrete truth from nature. A heart of peace and deep security. I desire for you a heart at rest, one that does not hurry or dwell on what may never come, but rests securely in the certainty of my love and care. No rushing or worrying. God wants you to live in peace, not worrying about the future or things that have not yet happened. Security. Like an oak tree, this faithful security is not a mere concept. It is a deep-rooted reality, like the mighty oak anchored in the earth, withstanding every storm, because its roots reach for an unshakable source of life. God's peace is not a fleeting emotion, but a deep, solid truth, as firm as the roots of an oak tree, able to withstand all trials. This is a curious truth, because it turns peace into a tangible strength. God is always present, never leaving. When fear whispers that you are alone or forgotten, I am the voice that calls your name, the ever-present one who will never leave your side. I hold you securely in the palm of my hand, a reassuring voice. God is the voice of truth, countering the lies of fear, never leaving. The promise never to leave your side is the deepest comfort for those who feel lonely. I hold you securely in the palm of my hand is an image of absolute protection and tender care, surrendering fear and receiving strength and peace. You have held on to fear for too long. It is time to let go and receive what God wants to give you, the power of reflection and vulnerability. Reflection, my beloved, is a powerful gift I have given you. Will you take a moment to acknowledge the fears that hold you captive, to lay them before me without shame, knowing that I welcome your vulnerability with open arms? The gift of reflection, the ability to think and look back, is a gift from God, helping you identify your fears. Welcoming vulnerability, God encourages honesty and openness about fear, and He welcomes it with open arms, without judgment. Strength from honesty. In this sacred honesty, you will find a new strength rising from within. A strength born not from the absence of fear, but from the presence of my peace. True strength is not the absence of fear, but having God's peace even in the presence of fear. This is a shocking truth because it challenges the concept of strength, surrendering fear to God. I do not expect you to banish your fears on your own. Instead, I ask you to surrender them to me, to invite me into the places that feel too dark to face alone. No expectation of self-reliance. God does not expect you to overcome fear on your own. Inviting God into the darkness, He invites a partnership, allowing Him to enter the darkest places of your soul to help. The gift of power, love, and a sound mind. Let this truth settle in you. I have not given you a spirit of timidity or despair, but of power, love, and a sound mind. These are gifts that cannot be earned or lost, but are given freely to those who call upon me in their distress. A positive spirit from God. God gives you a spirit of power, love, and a sound mind, opposing timidity or despair. Unconditional gifts. These are gifts that cannot be earned or lost, emphasizing their unconditional and eternal nature. As an impenetrable refuge. When anxiety knocks, answer the door with the confidence that I stand on the other side, ready to envelop you in stillness and hope. The storms will rage outside, but within you, you will find a refuge that no storm can. Penetrate. Opening with confidence. God encouraged confidence when facing anxiety, knowing that God is there to bring peace, not an inner refuge. God's peace creates a refuge inside you, a quiet and safe space regardless of the external situation. Doubt as a path to deeper faith. Your struggle with doubt belongs to the landscape of your journey, not the entirety of your story. Can you see that even doubt can become a pathway to a deeper faith when you allow me to illuminate the path, when you cast your burdens upon me? A part of the journey. Doubt is not the end of the story, but part of the journey. An opportunity to grow. Doubt becomes a gateway. When presented before God, doubt can become a path to deepen faith, where clarity is found and trembling is exchanged for courage. This is a curious and shocking truth, because it turns a weakness into a strength. Faith grows in hardship. Faith grows not in ease, but in the steadfast presence of one who never fails. This affirms that challenges are necessary for faith to grow, exchanging restlessness for God's peace. My beloved, Will you rest in this divine exchange today? I invite you to take a deep breath with me now, to let my spirit breathe calm into your restless heart. Feel my love move through the anxious places, untying the tight knots of worry and replacing them with a quiet assurance. A divine exchange. God invites an exchange, fear and anxiety for his peace. Breathing in peace? Take a deep breath with me now. To let my spirit breathe calm into your restless heart is an invitation to practice meditation, focusing on God's presence to find stillness. Love unties worry. God's love has the power to untie the tight knots of worry and replace them with assurance. Comprehensive guidance and care. This is not the end of your struggle, but a holy invitation to walk through your fears, hand in hand with me. Fear may lurk in the shadows, but I am the light that dissolves it. Companionship in fear. God promises to walk with you through your fears, not leaving you alone. Light dissolves darkness. God is a light more powerful than any darkness of fear, capable of dispelling it, guiding every step. I will guide every step, hold every tear, and carry you when the path becomes too steep. This is a comprehensive promise of God's care in every detail of the journey. Declaring belief. I ask you to declare your willingness to trust me again. Say it softly. Say it boldly. I trust you, Lord, even when I cannot see. An act of will. God calls for an act of will to declare belief, even though you may feel afraid. A powerful declaration. I trust you, Lord, even when I cannot see, is a powerful declaration of blind faith, accepting uncertainty and still trusting. Affirming. Eternal presence. Know that I am with you now and forever, the solid rock where your soul finds its perfect peace. God is the eternal and unchanging anchor for the soul. Inner transformation and the purpose of weighting every difficulty, every weight, has a higher purpose, a plan to transform you from within. Fertile ground for the seed of faith, my beloved, in the quiet corners of your heart, where doubts whisper like shadows at twilight. I am still there, unshakable, steadfast, and patient. Fragile moments are fertile ground. The very moments you deem as fragile are the fertile ground for the seeds of faith I am planting within you. Moments of weakness and doubt are opportunities for faith to grow. The tension between fear and trust. It is in the tension between fear and trust that your spirit will be made strong. This shows that the struggle is truly an essential part of the growth process. Tools to break down walls of doubt. Fear feels like a cage, the cold bars of what if and maybe, imprisoning the soul and whispering lies of your inadequacy or my powerlessness. But I have not given you a spirit of fear, my beloved. I have breathed into you a spirit of power, of love, and of self-discipline. These are the tools with which you can break down the walls of doubt that try to confine you. Fear is a cage. Fear creates a sense of being trapped, feeding negative thoughts about oneself. Tools from God. God equips you with tools, power, love, self-discipline to deal with fear and break down internal barriers. This is a shocking truth because it empowers you. Steadfast peace amidst the waves. When your heart races with anxiety, hear my voice that rises above the turmoil, the voice of peace that invites you to rest in my presence. This peace is not an absence of trouble, but a steady calm that anchors you as the waves of uncertainty crash against your soul. Proactive peace. God's peace is not the absence of problems, but an inner calm capable of holding you steady in all difficult circumstances. Anchoring the soul. God's peace acts as an anchor, keeping your soul stable amidst the waves of insecurity. God is always working, even in the silence. Reflect on the times you have faced valleys shrouded in fear. Yet, with trembling hands, you reached for me. Remember how I met you there? How my light pierced the darkness that surrounded your thoughts. Even in the silence, I am at work, shaping you, refining you like precious gold in the furnace. Lessons from the past. God encourages looking back at past experiences to see how He has helped. Refining like gold. The refining process implies that trials and waiting are necessary to remove impurities and make you more precious. Preparation, not neglect. The seasons of waiting that you find so painful are not my neglect, but my preparation. This changes the perspective on waiting from a delay to a purposeful part of God's plan. This is a curious truth because it turns difficulty into opportunity. A grand alignment. I am arranging circumstances beyond what you can see, aligning the stars of your destiny so that when the time comes, you will step forward in boldness, not hesitation. God is working behind the scenes, arranging everything perfectly so you can move forward with confidence when the time is right. Fear does not define your story. Fear, anxiety, and doubt are natural companions on your journey, but they will not define your story unless you let them. Do not let fear dominate. God suggests that these feelings are normal, but they should not be allowed to control or define your life. Surrender for release. I invite you now to take a deep breath and surrender those tremblings to me. Cast your cares upon me, for I care for you deeply. This is an active invitation to let go of the burden. Love like a waterfall. Feel the weight lift as you lean into my embrace, letting my love cascade over your worries like a gentle waterfall that cleanses and restores. This image evokes the powerful healing and renewal of God's love. Trust to receive peace. Do you trust me enough in this moment to release your burden and accept my peace? This is a direct question, requiring an act of trust to receive peace. God is the light that dispels the darkness of fear. In the thickest darkness of fear, there is always a radiant light waiting for you. That is God. Fear is the battlefield of faith. I know that fear sometimes feels rooted in reality. The pressures of the world, the insecurities etched by past wounds, the challenges that seem insurmountable. Yet, my beloved, it is these very fears that are the battleground of faith. Where you see an obstacle, I see an opportunity for courage to arise. Fear has real origins. God acknowledges that fear often has valid reasons from life. The battlefield of faith. Instead of being a weakness, fear becomes a battleground where faith is tested and strengthened. An opportunity for courage. God sees obstacles not as barriers, but as an opportunity for courage to arise. This is a shocking and emotionally powerful truth, turning fear into a launching pad for greatness. Hope from God nurtures faith. When doubt sows seeds of discouragement, I water it with hope and nourish it with the assurance of my presence. Nurturing hope. God actively combats discouragement by providing hope and the assurance of His presence. Freedom beyond fear. You were not made to live shackled by fear, but to fly free in the liberty I have given you. The ultimate purpose is freedom. God's purpose for you is to live in freedom, uninhibited by fear, a heart softened by God's love. Do not let your heart be hardened by the constant drumbeat of anxiety, but let it be soft by the gentle rhythm of my love. Avoiding a hardened heart. Anxiety can harden the heart, but God's love can soften it, can bring peace. The Good Shepherd seeks the lost. I am not distant or indifferent to your struggles. Rather, I am the Good Shepherd who leaves the 99 to find the one sheep who has strayed, lost in fear, or overwhelmed by doubt. God actively seeks. The image of the Good Shepherd emphasizes God's proactive and deep care for each individual. He doesn't wait, but goes out to find those who are struggling. This is a personalized and emotionally powerful truth, leading to a place of peace. Allow me to lead you beside still waters that restore your soul, to guide you on paths of righteousness. God is the one who leads to peace and restoration. God holds the trembling heart. Your fear does not surprise me. I hold your trembling heart in the palm of my hand. Understanding and care, God is not surprised by fear, and He is holding you in His protection. Hope is always present. Look toward the horizon where hope breaks through the night. Every breath you take is a testament to the resilience I have woven into your being. Resilience originating from God. The strength to continue is a gift from God in the darkness. I am with you in the dark places where even your strongest light flickers. My presence is the unbreakable thread that connects you to courage. Even in the weakest moments, God is the source of strength and courage, a glorious future written by God. When anxiety threatens to steal your joy, remind yourself that this is not the final word in your story. The story I am writing for you is one of victory, of peace that surpasses understanding, of a joy that cannot be extinguished. A story of victory. God has written a great story for you, a story not of failure, but of victory and lasting joy. This is a specific truth about your future. Fear dissolves when facing the light. Let this truth settle in you. Fear is a shadow that vanishes when you turn and face the light. I am that light, shining unceasingly on your path, illuminating even the steps you cannot yet see. God is the light. God is the source of light that dispels all fears and guides you even in uncertainty. A tapestry of grace and a greater destiny. I am weaving a tapestry of grace that will unfold for you a destiny far greater than your fears could ever imagine. A high destiny. God is creating a destiny more wonderful than any fear or limitation you set for yourself. An invitation to peace and rest. Will you trust me this time? Will you take my outstretched hand and step out of the prison of anxiety into the open fields of my peace? I am ready to carry you through the storms. Lean into me and find rest. Your faith in me keeps the door of your heart unlocked for me. I am near you now and always. An invitation to take His hand. God invites the specific action of taking His hand to be freed from the chains of anxiety. Faith opens the door. Faith is the key that opens the heart, so God can enter and bring rest and peace, the absolute refuge. You are your refuge, your strength, your ever-present help in trouble. God is the provider of everything needed, strength that lifts the soul. Let your spirit rise like the dawn on a weary night. Shake off the shackles of uncertainty. The power to overcome fear lives within you, because I have placed it there. The inner strength to overcome fear is a gift from God, a beloved warrior. You are my beloved warrior, called to walk boldly in the light of my love. Trust the transformative process. The waiting, the struggle, the trembling moments, all are part of my divine plan to reveal the depths of my faithfulness. The final call, you have heard these words, words that have the power to break the chains of fear and doubt. You have been invited to an unconditional love, a grace that covers every mistake, and a peace that surpasses all understanding. But listening is not enough. Knowledge is not power without action. Are you ready to face your fears instead of running from them? Do you dare to let go of the burden of shame that you have carried on your own for so long? Are you brave enough to trust in a love stronger than any failure, a power greater than any internal battle? This is not the time to hesitate. This is not the time to doubt. This is the moment for you to make a decision that can change your life forever. Close your eyes right now, take a deep breath, and repeat after me, strongly, decisively, so that the entire universe and your very soul can hear. I trust you, Lord, even when I cannot see. I give my burdens to you, and I accept your immense grace. I receive the peace that surpasses all understanding, and I walk in the freedom you have given me. If you have spoken these words with all your heart, then know that, in this very moment, a change has begun. A seed of hope has been planted deep within your soul. Do not keep these truths to yourself. Share this video with those you know who are struggling with fear, anxiety, and doubt. Let them know that there is a source of grace and peace waiting for them. Comment "I believe" below to affirm your commitment. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the powerful messages that will help you stand firm on this journey. Remember, you are not alone. God is with you, and He has a great purpose for your life. Never stop believing, never stop seeking, and never stop loving God. Thank you for listening to the messages from God. If you find it interesting, please subscribe and look forward to the next videos. Goodbye and see you again.